have a long enough leash.
You do.
We are live.
We are live.
Look, I'm like,
Good morning.
I'm tight here. Hey, this is Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team with my buddies Bobby and Sheryl-Turman, specifically Sheryl today. So I have a feeling that at some point I'm going to have to say, Bobby, I'm talking to Sheryl. What do you think? You think that's going to happen?
That's a possibility.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
Place your bets now.
I actually feel very confident about that, but that's okay. So we are here at Hippie Haven Studios, a.k.a. your abode, and numerous Murfreesboroians' favorite place to come have a cup of coffee, right?
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
Or wine.
Or wine.
We're not prejudiced. We can.
Does
wine
time
or
of day
coffee.
matter or not really?
Not really. Not really.
Yeah, I kind of figured that,
Yeah.
but that's okay. So we are going to sit here, and this is a first, by the way, for Coffee Talk, where I have interviewed one person and then later interviewed a significant other or partner.
Oh.
So that's pretty awesome. And only once.
Groundbreaking.
It is. You guys are trendsetters. Only once have I ever interviewed the same person on two different Coffee Talks. So Wayne Blair, if you're watching, do you guys know Wayne in Smyrna? He's an insurance guy. He's a county commissioner.
I don't think so.
Super cool guy. You guys would love him. So I may have to introduce y'all at some point. But anyway, so between the two of you, lots of different ventures. We got the Hungry Hippie blog, which you keep saying it's coming soon. So
About a week.
We have paid the money.
Yes.
That's usually what it comes down to.
We've redone the website.
Right.
And made it bigger and better. It's going to give us more tools and better ways to reach people and present things.
We had a pretty comprehensive idea of what we wanted to do with the website, and didn't have the comprehensive amount of money in the beginning to make that happen. I remember the first time.
Big dream, smaller budget.
Well, you kind of get a clue that maybe you're a little out of your price range when the guy who introduces himself as the man who builds $500 websites. You tell him what you want, and he comes back. Was that $5,700? And we're like, oh, maybe we need to.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe we need to turn that down a little bit.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. So we started out. A good friend of ours helped us get started. He knew the basics and got us up and running, and we quickly outgrew that system. Because we had advertisers that wanted to come, and we wanted to offer them the best possible platform for their advertising. Because, and let's throw a little bit of reality out there, okay? The best free websites, right, that are not subscription websites are sponsored 100% by advertising.
Yeah.
It's like the free games. I picked up a new game that I started playing last night, maybe because I went through 5,000 games of Mahjong. I'm just saying, it just ran out. And they didn't have a reset. But anyhow, it's like every second game, There's an ad.
Or you pay for the game.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to cough up that $2.99 here anytime. But
when did $2.99 for a game become a lot?
I don't know.
I played video games, and $50 is what you paid for.
Oh yeah, my brother and sister.
And they were not as sophisticated as the least sophisticated cell phone games.
The first video game system I bought was for my brother and sister because they are 9 and 12 years younger. Yes, Becky, I admitted that I was older. And it was an Atari 50. Was it 52 or 56? The first
5200.
one. It was 26 was the first one.
Yeah.
Was the first
But we got
one,
them the 52, and those games were $60, $70, and $80 in 1981.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you see them now, they're like little dancing blocks
right
on the screen.
That's what I'm saying. Your cell phone games are more sophisticated. I mean, I had an Atari 2600. I had a Nintendo, the original Nintendo. A different Sega. I mean, I had several different ones, but it seems like the games have always stayed
the same, and
like
they
$30
cost
to $60, right?
Yeah.
Is always the window, no matter what time, what era we're talking about. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
And I remember the game system was $250.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah.
And Atari stopped supporting it right after we bought it.
Of course they did.
Yeah. He became Chuck E. Cheese, the rat, but. But anyhow, yeah. So we didn't feel we could offer the correct platform for the articles. Were fine. The blog articles fine. They were searchable. But as far as being able to say, hey, we can get you this much exposure for this many dollars, because let's face it,
wasn't dynamic enough.
wasn't dynamic enough. And we were really enjoying the eating out part of the research, and that gets expensive.
Yeah.
That gets expensive. So we really needed some and we have never, to my knowledge, accepted free food for a review. I mean, that was kind of
well. You shouldn't. I mean, that's.
I don't even like them to know that I'm coming. But that's
because you're so incognito.
I was going to say you blend into a crowd so well.
So we decided to take a step back and sort of reinvent the Hippie brand a little bit. And when we relaunch the website, it's going to come with an event that I'm involved in, and that's I'll be a celebrity dancer on Nashville's Dancing with the Stars.
No way.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I start dance lessons.
I didn't mean to laugh, but that's amazing.
I've been laughing for months. Because
I have got to have tickets to that event.
When we started dating, one of the first things was, I'll do anything in the world for you. I won't dance with you.
He said that to you?
He said that to me.
I said that to her.
We did not dance together at our wedding.
What?
He would not dance. But some strange woman is going to teach him to dance. No, he will be paired up with a choreographer.
Yeah.
And that will be his dance partner,
So,
choreographer.
I got to ask, is this like a midlife crisis thing? Instead of getting a convertible, you're going to go on Dancing with the Stars? Or?
No, they actually approached me. It's Feed America First is a sponsor of the event, and they follow my blog, and I've done some work with them. I've done an article on their facility and stuff.
And they sent us tickets. It just so happened the event last year was on my birthday, November 8th.
Yeah.
And they sent us free tickets. And it's quite a shindig.
Where's it at? Where's it hosted?
Franklin Factory.
At the factory.
Factory at the Frank.
It's a $150 a plate gala.
Yeah.
And it all goes towards charity. And that's basically how you vote for your favorite dancers with your dollars.
What kind of dance are you doing? Do you know yet?
I don't know yet. I'm going to work with a choreographer, but I have a Beauty and the Beast thing in mind. Or it's going to be the Hustle in a tie-dye tuxedo. One of the two. I'm trying to decide.
I have got to be there. And you know, I mean, if it's permitted, I may even like broadcast a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, they're going to work with me to set up a website and.
This is awesome. I did not expect this.
You did not expect, but you did say you knew you were going to tell him.
I know. Yeah. All right. So this is cool. We may have a third installment of Talk with the Turmans.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all right. So let's talk about you.
Okay.
Bobby has told me several times, and so essentially right now, you know, you're wearing a ton of hats. I put on your little intro that you are an artist, a designer, an entrepreneur, and a tire expert.
A tire. I save the world from ugly tires. That is my superpower. Is I save the world from ugly tires.
Yeah.
But yeah, I work at the local Firestone down here, and have for almost 5 years, and. You know, Bridgestone's a fantastic corporation to work for. I currently have an elbow injury, and they have already set up short-term disability. I mean, as far as benefits and work environment, it's a great. Wish it wasn't open so late and on Sundays, but.
But that's not your passion.
That's not my passion.
So let's talk passion for a minute. All right. So you're an artist first.
Yes.
Is what I would assume.
Well, I'm a doodler first, I think.
Okay.
I'm a doodler. I can remember. So I was talking to one of my cousins, and his wife said, Jerry told me that you have always really played with this art stuff. And I'm like...
This art stuff. I love that.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you talking... And my cousin's name is Sheryl, love him to death, but when we were kids, we were playing Yahtzee and couldn't fit Gerald in there, and I put Gerd. And he's been Gerd ever since. He's real grown up with a big sophisticated job, and I'm not allowed to call him Gerd.
If I ever meet him, I'm definitely
going to call him Gerd. Yeah.
You're Gerd. Nice to meet you.
It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Gerd.
Happy birthday, Gerd. He's going to kill me. But I did doodle a lot and got in a lot of trouble. I remember being fascinated. I was a big Mad Magazine fan.
I love it.
Loved Mad Magazine.
Alfred E. Newman.
I was particularly infatuated this whole glorious magazine with those. Remember those little sketches, those little scenes
at
they
the bottom?
had at the bottom. Yeah. I love those, and
my favorite were the fold.
Oh yeah, I love the folding things. But I think it was the fact that you could do something so simple because they were a little black and white,
right?
That were so meaningful because there was like a whole story in that little. And I may have drawn some of that on some homework and some tests. I do remember a little bit of
perhaps
that might have happened. Did not do it on walls, but
desks.
Well, that hasn't stopped
maybe
in this house.
maybe desks,
Maybe desks.
maybe desks.
Yeah, that trend has not continued because it is definitely drawn on the walls.
Yeah.
But my parents didn't really feel that artistic endeavors were going to make me a living.
Sure. Very common.
Very
right?
common.
Yeah.
And I come from, on my dad's side of family, a lot of very talented talent. Earl Miller, who is my cousin, was one of the earliest members of the family. He's passed now. My cousin Jennifer will agree with this. He and his daughter Rhonda, her mother, were fantastic artists. I mean, they would just paint. I had some Christmas ornaments for the longest time that she had painted these little scenes. And my dad's feeling was I was never going to be as good as Rhonda and Earl, so I might as well find something else to do.
Gotcha.
Now, granted, at the time he was comparing this, I think I was 9 or 10. And so I did some stuff in art class, always did really well in art. But I was a business student, so you didn't get a lot of art when you were a business student.
Right.
And I went on, and for a long time, I supplemented my income. My first husband had to have a kidney transplant, so we had a whole dynamic of all the medicine and the doctors and the deductibles and everything. And my job, I was actually a massage therapist too then, and I would come home and make things and put them in consignment stores for sale. And kind of life, being adulting kind of took over, and children kind of took over. And if I was on airplane mode, you don't have that.
Well, then it won't. But then it's.
Oh,
I
it
use
won't
the
live.
cell.
It won't live. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, sorry about that. Okay, adulting.
I was adulting, and adulting kind of interfered with all that. And then in 2006, we had a house fire, and I lost one of my children.
Oh.
And I went to grief therapy, and just could never find a person I could connect with. Never find a lot of the people that I talked to had never had children, had never had anyone die close to them. It just didn't work for me. And I started really picking up the doodling then. And I met Bobby, and was it our first Valentine's Day together? Now, I'm a Scorpio, so everything's out there and, vibrant and power. And he's a Virgo, and everything has a place and a box and a spreadsheet. And our first Valentine's Day, he comes home with a sketch pad and a set of pens and pencils, wasn't it? Drawing pens and pencils. And he said, "I love you. Please stop drawing on my mail." So I started, and I sat there for a long time and just stared at paper.
That's awesome.
It's a true story. Yeah. I mean, it was, and for a long time, I just kind of sat there and stared at a blank paper. And I really had, and just about this time is when the Zentangle stuff started.
Oh, the adult coloring book.
The adult,
thing?
well, they hadn't really come out yet, but the actual drawing of Zentangling. And so I watched a few videos, got a few books, but it wasn't there. I liked the therapeutic fact of it, but it just wasn't me. And one day out of the blue, I started with Zentangle. I thought, well, maybe I'll draw something. I remember I drew the snail and filled it in, and then kind of started branching into botanicals and just sort of found my voice with it.
Yeah.
And so I started drawing and really enjoyed it. And my mother started getting very sick. She started coming down with Alzheimer's, and there was a lot of anxiety. There's a whole anxiety behind realizing that you're not remembering, that your cognitive skills.
It's got to be terrifying.
It was for her, and she didn't want anybody to know. I knew she had let the doctor call me, but she didn't want anybody else to know.
Yeah.
And so whenever something would happen, she would stress out. So the doctor knew, and she didn't go to the same doctor. She didn't tell her family doctor what was going on, and told Vanderbilt, who tested her, that she didn't have a family doctor.
Wow.
So her doctor didn't know. All he knew, she had a lot of anxiety, and he suggested that she color. And you would have to know my mother, but I remember walking into an apartment as a coloring book was sort of sailing through the air, and
You have to duck.
Pretty much.
I'm picturing the Alice in Wonderland that needs more pepper.
Yeah, and I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? And she's like, it's this effing coloring book that's stressing me out.
Oh, that's funny.
And her point was very valid, that it would not lay flat. You know, the book wouldn't lay flat.
Yeah, it had a spine like this.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing it,
It did the bow thing.
And if you're coloring in little bitty spaces, it would be
Yeah.
extremely
And,
frustrating.
you know, my mother was born in 42, so staying in the lines was not an option.
Right.
You know, and grass had to be green and the sky had to, you know.
Yeah.
And so.
And you don't leave a little space, and you don't.
Right,
yeah.
right. And if you've ever really looked at adult coloring books, many of them are kind of like clip art dumped in with all these little tiny spaces.
Yeah.
But the thing that struck me, and I found that all kind of funny actually, just her throwing a book across the room, but something she said really hit home. She said, and what am I going to do when I'm done? Put it on the fridge like I'm 5? And I realized there was no dignity in it for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was doing something that in her eyes had no value. So Bobby had gotten me this great 11 by 17 drawing pad, which is still my preference. Everything I do is pretty much starts out on 11 by 17. And I started drawing pages for her to color. And I used thicker black lines so she could stay in them, and did just kind of a bolder.
And something that was truly beautiful, not just.
Right, and a lot of it I left negative space in the middle so that she could put a poem or a Bible verse or whatever she wanted, and had something. And we did it on stock card paper instead of doing the
110-pound.
yeah,
paper.
instead of that pulpy stuff that they make, you know, cheap coloring books out of. And that way she could paint it, or she could color it, and it was giftable. It was frameable. It was giftable.
It was art, not
Yeah.
just a coloring book page.
Right.
We just set out to make her a bigger, better coloring book. You know?
And
That's awesome.
why don't you go get a couple sheets out of the office? We didn't bring any out.
We've got some in
Yeah.
your studio. Yeah. I'll grab
No,
them.
there's some in those tubs in there.
Oh, that's right.
So anyway, unfortunately, her illness was incredibly accelerated. There was a doctor who I will not name that talked her in. One of the things, if you know anybody that has dementia or has Alzheimer's, it doesn't play well with anesthesia. You can actually go into a surgery with a little bit of Alzheimer's or dementia and come out and not know anybody.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't even think they know why this happens. So one of the things she was not supposed to do was have any kind of procedure. She had kind of in one of her Alzheimer moments got herself up in the attic in her apartment and fell through the ceiling,
Oh, no.
and had really hurt, and she got stuck there for a while. Oh my goodness. I had our granddaughter put these in a book. I had no idea the book was going to be a tome of significant size. But anyway, so she was stuck there, like one leg through the drywall, kind of stuck there. And so her big thing was, and she went up there to make the firefighters come and get her out of the attic. We actually have that documented on family video. But
I mean, she could probably have gotten company another way.
you know, but she was pretty excited about the firemen. But she had a lot of back pain after that. And this doctor talked her into it. She was in her 70s at this point, doing that surgery where they scrape everything out and put the rods in your spine and lay your whole back open.
Holy cow.
And she didn't tell me she was having it because she knew I would just throw a fit.
Lose your mind about it.
And I found out what the day of.
Yeah.
And I tried to talk, you know, what are you doing? And she, I'll never forget, she says, I don't know. And I tried to get a hold of somebody at the hospital, couldn't get a hold of anybody.
And this is my ignorance, how do you would think that you would have to have clear minded consent to getting cut open, and if they know that she has...
Well, she didn't tell anybody she had Alzheimer's. That was her downfall.
I see.
Yeah.
And
If
a
she
lot
would
of it was
go
just,
to-
so don't tell somebody. Don't be secret about it. It could cost you your life. She was also having symptoms. She started saying that she was having a lot of stomach problems. Well, one of the stages of Alzheimer's is forgetting how to swallow.
It's called
heard that.
dysphagia.
Dysphagia, I think. And she was already having problems when she ate, throwing up. right after she ate, not being able to hold food down, having a lot of pneumonia, and I had stayed away a little bit because I very easily we were having lung problems here. We had a methane leak we didn't know about in the house.
Not methamphetamine.
No.
Methane.
Methane leak that was
methane.
causing me some breathing problems, so I didn't want to get around the pneumonia. But anyhow, she hid that throwing up, which was another clue that would have helped us help her.
And when we found out, we thought it was gastrological, but it wasn't. It was the fact that she forgot how to swallow.
Yeah.
So it was going down her windpipe and stuff.
Into her lungs. That's where the pneumonia, or she was throwing it up. So she lost a lot of weight. I mean, it was like this whole whirlwind of stuff. And in that point, once she went into the hospital in September and had that surgery, and she died within 90 days.
Wow.
I mean, it was just it was like a total spiral. And I struggled tremendously with the guilt of, if I had been there, if I had paid more attention.
So now we've got... You've lost a son, so you've been grieving about that. You added Bobby to your life, so you're grieving about that.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to throw a joke in there. And now you've lost your mom, and I'm sure that there was some guilt there because you're thinking, I should have noticed this, I should have said more, I should have...
Right, because I was the one that knew what was going on. And in my defense, I did sit down in many nursing home meetings and say, listen, guys. And they laughed at me almost.
Yeah.
They would not pay any attention to the fact that, hey, this may be an Alzheimer thing.
Yeah, and we actually had to remove her from one nursing home because it was their treatment of her and their refusal to look at certain things was so bad.
She was in such bad shape in that nursing home in Smyrna that we took her to Vanderbilt, and she was in intensive care for 10 days.
Holy cow. So out of this, though, we've got part of how you've dealt with grief and how you've dealt with all of this is channeling it through your fingers, basically.
Right? I spit out in the next 30 days probably 100 of it's pretty intense stuff. This is some unfinished stuff here.
Here's an example.
Right.
So Bobby handed me this one. So, that's pretty detailed, and this is basically just a little bit like a big postcard.
Yeah. But that was actually, we have a 11 by 17 version of that, and I had it shrunk down. It always looks better when you shrink big ones down.
That is actually, we did that for the Green Dragon. The Mentors.
God rest their soul.
It's their Hobbit bar, and we did this for them as a...
That negative space you were talking about, where you've left room for...
So, I left room, and so this was some, I don't know if you can see that, this was some of the botanicals. And, like I said, they're bigger spaces, they were more interesting. And we have found something that we did not expect when I did this was we've had multiple people with post-stress disorder, autistic children who stressed out being out in public, that have found that they could take these coloring pages, and that's one of the reasons why we did the small ones, to restaurants, and they could tune out the stuff that bothered them.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah, I actually worked with a veterans group to set them up to do, coloring's very therapeutic. It's just a way to get out of your brain and just kind of pour your feelings out in color, because color is very emotional. It invokes certain emotions.
And there's all kinds of scientific studies.
Whole scatteredness and just pull into this space and concentrate on accomplishing that space. And we've just had some wonderful letters and
Yeah.
people talking about how much this helped their children, how much it helped their parents.
Collection, sort of coloring book collection that we put together of our prints was for NHC, which is about a block away.
Right.
They were having an Alzheimer's benefit,
Right.
and that's where Sheryl's mom spent some of her last time. And so they asked us if we wanted to come down and do a booth and donate some stuff, and we was like, we'll put some coloring books together.
We took all the
3 days.
animals. Yeah. So I'd gone through like trying to find a pretty common theme, and one of the things I found was I had done some animals, some owls and stuff, and I thought, well, that would be, and those had the biggest spaces. This is a little more advanced. This isn't really a kids necessarily.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot of detail there.
There's a lot of detail, and they're all, if you look through, they're all like that. And so we did a book for them and donated the proceeds to the memory unit. And we have, I guess we haven't done it lately, we need to do it again, but we very often take tons of coloring pages down for the memory unit because they don't really have.
So when you make a book with this, how do you do that? I mean, do you have
It's portfolio style. What they are, it's a stack of plates like this inside a folder. And so that way
you take
don't
the
have to
individual
worry
page
about,
out.
Then
Yeah,
take
you
the
don't have to
page
worry
out.
about
Which was a pack of Sharpies and a drawing pad, and that's the God's honest
that
truth.
started
And
our company.
I have to give a huge shout out to Angela Merchant, who was over here one day, and I was like just pouring all the stuff. Because it takes me, if I can sit down and not be interrupted, it takes me about 3 hours to do one of these. And so I had just been the whole day just pouring stuff out, and Angela come over. She said, back up. Angela's husband, Glenn, the late Glenn Merchant. That's who Bobby bought the original supplies from.
From Moxie Art.
From Moxie Art
yeah,
Supply.
yeah. Okay,
and
gotcha.
We took down some of the first ones I did, and feel a little. I always second guess myself because I haven't had the lessons.
You're your own worst critic.
Yeah. I
too.
will. You can ask Bobby. I will sweat over like when I did my first art show. I literally, with the originals that we were doing, sat here with a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
And went over every one and made sure I had closed every hole and every loop, and there was no. Yeah, it was bad.
That's wow.
It was
No comment.
It was I was mildly obsessed maybe. And so Angela came over and we went to Glenn, and he's like, you have something. He said, the only difference between you and someone who makes a living as an artist is practice.
Different, but it's not weird. I mean, I'm serious.
Fair enough. I'll accept that.
That's a big deal. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I look at some art sometimes. I'm like, is it really art? I mean,
Well, one of the Cheryl's art is very malleable too, because this is kind of how we started off, was with this, and from this we leapt to doing greeting cards.
right.
For Christmas.
Yeah, we
And
did
then started
Christmas
doing
cards,
company
and we
logos
never
for
thought
people.
about that being a big deal. And it's funny bringing Firestone back into this. I have ADD really bad, and one of the things about working at Firestone, especially when you're dealing with company lease vehicles, is you can be on hold 20, 30 minutes. I about lost my mind. I could not, deal with that mentally, and so I started taking my sketch pad and doodling there. And one day, and I had a lot of cards that size, and one day I did this little sketch of 3 cats sitting on a fence. And I jokingly called it cat butt.
Because that's all you see are their butts on the fence.
And so we have a very good friend that helped us get started in the merchandising side. And they were like, hey, if you want to do a mug, come see us. And I'm like, I think that's a frame. Yeah. And we're like, okay. And so we sent this company. And when we went, Angela said, this stuff is great. You need to come set up at the next art show. So I went out and had it reproduced and everything and got ready to go to do the art crawl. And, we're having remodeling
That's
done.
fine. No worries. We usually do this at a coffee shop, so it's all good.
Yeah,
we're here.
Hippie Haven's getting a facelift.
There comes that ADD, right?
So anyhow, so I sent them. We didn't know how it would translate. I sent them about. Most of my stuff was done this size. Those the cat. I call them cat butt. This is the second one. The cat butt sketch was done on a 5x7 originally, and so I sent them about 25 prints to see which would make, because there's very specific fields that they print on and so on and so forth. And out of the 25, they picked cat butt for the cup. So that became our first mug.
And these are chalkboard.
These are chalkboard, yes. They come with a cute little thing of chalk. And we took them to the first art crawl, and people went crazy about them. And we got this wonderful call from a local store.
The Country
Gourmet. Thank you so much.
Right there on Main.
We definitely contribute a whole lot of our success and our motivation to keep going on them, because they bought everything else we had left.
Oh, wow.
And that was a big deal. That was a big hairy deal at Hippie Haven.
Cat butt, hairy deal.
So,
I'm going to show you guys this one. So this one is Reedyville Mill. And look at how, I don't know if you can see that real well, but it's awesome. And this, again, is one of those chalkboard mugs. Very, very cool. And it feels good. Like it's, some mugs feel cheap. This one feels great.
Well, one of the things we've really pushed on doing, even when we do T-shirts or anything, is we want the best quality.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, you can probably go online and find the cup that we're going to do for you for $5.25. I mean, we're going to do it for $5.25, just throwing a price out there, and they're like, well, I can find it for $3.
Yeah. Can you, though?
Can you? And I have to say, we have had a couple snafus in printing them in the printing process and had to return 2 batches of them.
Yeah.
And you don't do that with, the overseas people and
we actually take a little bit less profit for ourselves from our products in order to give them at an affordable price, but at the highest quality that we can.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the system that we got started with, one thing I found out very early in this business is that people love artwork, they want artwork, don't really know how to put a dollar value in that they want to pay.
Sure.
Everybody
it's hard to
art
consume.
should be free.
Well, and even if they are willing to pay for it, how much is this piece of paper worth? The piece of paper is worth a penny, 2 pennies, right? How much is the ink worth? Another penny, right? But how much is the vision and the knowledge and the ability worth? I don't have that, so I don't know how to value that.
Yeah.
Right?
So
there's not a lot else to compare it to, because you have so many artists. Everybody has their own style. There's different amounts of effort
and you have
things
so
that go
much
in it.
software. Like we've done a couple logos, and logos are a particular challenge for me because you want them to be personal, simple, stylish, and simple is not really my thing. Just saying.
You're kidding.
My mother used to say I could complicate a folding chair, but
I'd love to see some folding chairs painted by you. Actually,
I have this dream of one day having the time to go out to Reedyville Mill and take some of their chairs, because they have all the mixed chairs. And painting some of their chairs just to have them, there on.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but I have a hard time doing simple. But there's so many software things that'll let you just do your own logo, and everybody's like, well, they don't really, like I said, they have a hard time not not that they don't value it, but finding a value that they're willing to spend just for an idea.
And it's worth mentioning that all of Sheryl's artwork is hand drawn.
Yeah.
She doesn't use any graphics programs.
I do sometimes take, like I'm working on a project now, and not to interrupt you, but sometimes when I'm looking for a more polished look, like a lot of my stuff has the homespun, like the Reedville Mill is a very homespun look. The cat is driving the truck. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, but that fits their business too.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
And so when I'm doing something we want a little more simplistic view, like I'm doing a T-shirt for Unique Makeup for their conference, and it's this Snow White Wicked Queen mirror because I have a thing for Disney villains. No offense to the princesses, but the villains take care of their own stuff. They don't wait for a man to save them.
And there we go.
Anyhow, and I knew Maleficent had a reason to be so mad. It just took 40 years for the movie to come out. But anyhow, I take my hand drawing and put it in a computer program, smooth out the lines, fill in the color with the computer. But graphic arts, I took graphic arts in college. It may have been the 80s. And and my sister will be laughing and cringing at the same time. She's a software expert. I use Paint, Microsoft Paint, which is like the most primitive. And everyone's like, "Oh, sure, I got to teach you Illustrator." And
But
I'm like,
I mean, in the 80s, did you even have? Sorry, this is going to be offensive, perhaps, but did you even have a full color screen that you were doing? Okay.
Yes, we did.
Not
much of one.
When I was on
not a
computers
big
in the
spectrum
80s,
of colors.
it was green screen, right? The double.
Well, early 80s, you had Tandy 1000.
Well, you had to, the
Apple IIe.
Yeah.
The very first art I did, I volunteered at my brother's school. I'd forgotten all about this, in Hollywood, Florida. And I was designing games for them. Like, there was this guessing game where the computer would guess what animal you were thinking. And it would start out like with some discriminating questions, 2 legs, 4 legs, and go down.
Right.
And
narrowing down the database.
because it was really just starting up. This is like 1981, and that project very quickly taught me that I would never be a computer programmer. And I'm sure it's gotten much easier and more sophisticated, but that was the nail in it, because I had taken some stuff in high school.
That sounds positively miserable.
I was pretty miserable about it, but so one of the first Windows programs had a program called Paint, and I learned to use Paint and all those. And I could still.
Sorry, we got some comments.
Oh
no, we got some stuff breaking up. And Rebecca Whitney says, "Not Paint."
Yeah. That's my sister.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She's like, because she'll see something, I'll do something, I'll show it to her. She looks at me, she goes, "You're still using Paint, aren't you?"
Is it that obvious?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about where we are now, right? So you've evolved. You've added to, right? So you're still doing this.
Had a customer that insisted I paint something, and I was like, "Mary, I love you, but I don't."
Like actual paint, not Microsoft Paint.
Yeah, not Microsoft Paint. She wanted me to actually paint something. I'm like, "Mary, I don't know how to paint. I have no clue." She said, "You can do this. I want it done." And I really stressed, because she brought me floor tiles and wanted me to paint. That one's not done.
Oh.
The other one's the one that one's like really undone.
It still looks cool.
It is actually.
Well, the other one looks cooler. Damn it. So anyhow, she insisted I paint this for her. I'm like, "Mary, I have no idea what I'm doing." She said, "Just do it." And she really, really pushed, and I put her off. And Kathy Yeager, one of my dearest friends, I called her up, and I'm like, "I'm so struggling. I don't want to take this woman's money because I don't feel it's up to it." And her advice to me, which I still keep in my head all the time, be the artistic whore I know you can be and take the money.
Oh, that's cool.
And then
I like how it's small and gets it's spreading out.
This actually has two different meanings to different people. I've got some friends, we've talked about this. My girlfriend, Teresa, hi Teresa, says that this is all chaos and this is all organized. So she feels this is gaining control.
I would go the other way.
I am the other way. I'm like, this is all tension and I'm letting it all go.
This is chaos and this is starting to order itself.
Yeah.
And get big.
Big. It's an idea that's just bursting out. So
that's how I see it as well. I love it. I love the colors in it.
Yeah, I have a real thing for colors. This started out, you'll laugh. My daughter just bought a house. And I said, let me do something for your house. It's a housewarming gift. And she said, well, I love your stuff. Now, this is some of my first stabs at abstract. Most of the stuff has been hyper real that I've done. She said, I really like your abstract stuff. Could you do me something in neutral? I swear to God, this started out beige and white.
In neutral.
And gray. Yeah, I've got pictures to prove
gray,
it.
Black.
And yeah, I couldn't do it.
Sheryl, how did that make you feel?
Lost. Yeah, I was just, I love those jewel tones.
Yeah.
And so she had me do the painting, and she loved it. And also Larry Costelli, dear friends of ours, Marilyn and Larry Costelli, I had a long talk with him over Christmas, and he is a fabulously successful interior decorator. And he said, Sheryl, I'm going to give you a great piece of advice. He said, listen to your clients. Don't listen to you. Listen to your clients and find out what they want. And even though it may not be the best thing for them, it's what they want. And that's your job.
Sure. And you can put little tiny twists on it.
I've done that. And so I started out and I painted that. And I think my dear friend David Pierce, who owned Tutu's Treasure in Shelbyville, he's now in New York City living his dream.
New York City.
Yeah, he loves the theater, so he goes to Broadway all the time.
10-4.
But he had me do a chair, a slightly infamous chair these days. It was a peacock rocker.
I don't know what that is.
You never saw the peacock?
It was a large wooden rocking chair, antique rocking chair, and Sheryl painted a peacock on it. The back of the chair was
like it fans open
and stuff.
coming
out. And
the video's on Hippie Haven Studios.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And that was a project that ate my brain for a long time. I probably painted it 3 times before I found the palette I wanted. And
she painted it on this dining room table right here.
And I'm working full time, so anytime I paint, I usually come home from work and get off about 7 or 8.
Do you turn up heavy metal music and paint, or
it depends. Sometimes I do Mozart.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do 50s music. It just depends on where and I write really positive things on the canvas before I paint, like joy, happiness and whatnot. So I feel like it's sending out good vibes.
Yeah.
And then like one of a real popular one I did lately was called Joyful. And I played Mozart, I think, pretty much through the whole thing. But
Alexa confirms this.
Yeah. My music taste runs anything from classic to what the hell are you listening to? So it just depends, but I try when I do a painting to listen to the same type of music the whole way through. And this is going to let my inner nerd show. I have an audio copy of A Brief History of Nearly Everything, one of my favorite audiobooks ever. And it just goes through the complete history of the world from the beginning to the end with like stuff you probably didn't know.
That's awesome. I need to look that up.
Yeah, it's a great just kind of go into it. And
I immediately went to the Mel Brooks movie, The History of the World, part 2 or part 1, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
not the same.
Not the same. No, not the same.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king. We use that line around here a lot. It's good to be the king. But yeah, I try to keep, and I have been extremely blessed. I recently did a thing for Vicky Catrone for her birthday, where someone sent me a picture of them as a couple, and April, actually, hi April, and wanted me to draw them as llamas. The llama thing is funny because I belong to a women's group called the Polka Dots, and when they read the rules to the club, one of the first things they say is, save the llama, no drama llamas. in the club. Like, that's not allowed. So they had, on our 1-year anniversary, they had everybody contribute something from their business. I may have forgotten until like the day of or the day before. So I took a little canvas and I put a llama on, just a llama's head, and I made it a psychedelic llama, of course. And so just being a white llama, it has like all these wild colors through its fur. And I took it and it was a giveaway. And I think I probably sold 6 llamas off just posting that one. And so llamas have become a thing. But it was the first time I'd ever tried to make people look like an animal. That was like kind of a struggle for me. So a lot of this is a big learning process. Mm-hmm. But I just kind of have to trust my instinct because I don't have any contradictory education.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like I said, about Sheryl's artwork that's great is how malleable her style is, because you have something like this that's crazy detailed, and then you have something like this that's got kind of a homespun caricature.
But even within that, it's still crazy detailed. I mean, looking at the foliage that you put in there, I mean, you still work this into that.
That was drawn on 11 by 17.
Oh, wow. It's awesome.
And so we've got the paintings now, and
let's talk about the I can't come up with a better word, so I hope this isn't offensive, the practical stuff, right? Like, art is beautiful and wonderful, but what are the day-to-day things that you guys are doing at Hippie Haven Studios that, you know, my small business owner friends, that kind of thing? Well, you mentioned logos, but what else?
We do logos. We do T-shirts for events. We don't actually make the T-shirts. We get them made for you, and we have pretty competitive prices all the way around. We've done that for several local. City Cafe, I did their logo. If you see the big logo on the door, that was mine.
The logo on their front door.
And
their T-shirts.
Their T-shirts and stuff. So I can take art. What's talking about developing an art business? One of the things we did was I went to, like, for example, Oakland's Mansion, which is one of my favorite projects we've ever done. We did a thermochromatic mug. It's black, and then you fill it up with hot liquid, and the art appears.
Right. Very cool.
But went to him and said, "Hey, I've got this idea. I'll do the art." We're back. Yeah. I started out doing, like, I would do the art for free, and I would say, "Hey, I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to charge you for this artwork, but you have to buy everything that has this artwork on it from me."
That's fair.
Yeah. At a fair price. I think we're very competitive price-wise.
And that's one of the things that a lot of artists have a trouble with is, how do I make money off of being an artist?
Right.
How do I make a living being an artist?
Well, and some of them would be like, "Oh, I don't do it for the money." Well, then how do you eat?
Well, and
I mean, because ultimately,
I have a great job, but like one of the first things I did with these is, instead of selling the originals, I had them scanned on a high definition scanner, and I had prints made and started selling these prints.
Sure.
And then we did. We've kind of stopped because we've had some life things that we had to deal with. But I did sip in colors, where once a month you could come for $15, $20, bring a bottle of wine. You got 5 big coloring sheets and all the markers you needed, and we just sat down and we talked and socialized and colored, and it was really a great experience.
It was.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds terrible.
I could end up with a lot of men there, though.
Oh, that sounds. I would go crazy.
It's a date night thing.
Yeah, it turned into a date night thing. It turned into
You just
a
need to drink more
networking
wine.
thing.
Is that what it is? Just drink more wine.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that really the solution for everything?
It works for me.
But early on, we were like, well, how are we really going to do more than make pocket money with this? So I had the idea, along with Sheryl, to start marrying it to merchandising. And
we had this first cup, and then we did a Christmas cup that we probably waited too long. We didn't have that cup made till like the second week in December. Not a good time for a Christmas project. Yeah. But we sold 80% of them. Well, we sold over half of them before they ever arrived, just saying, "Hey, we're going to do this." So that'll be the big collector's item. Remember that. And the next version of the cat butt mug, this original and this one is available at Country Gourmet. Mm-hmm. This is a throwback to my mother had that blue and white dishes that you got at the A&P store, the Blue Willow, and they did this by accident because I did this one and the Reedyville Mill one at the same time, sent the orders off. They got it confused. Reedyville Mill was supposed to be blue and white, and this was supposed to be another chalkboard mug. And it came, and I took it up to...
I think it's beautiful.
I took it up to Karen. I'm like, Karen, this looks really sexy. You know, and she's like, yeah, I think we'll roll with that. So we went ahead and had them made like this, and I really love this. Probably the next one will be this too. And this is a little more cost effective. The chalkboards are, you know, a little more expensive.
Sure.
A little more expensive mugs, but I really like this
I love
look.
that. Yeah, I think that's great.
We've got a couple cat butts in the chamber ready to fire.
Well, we've
Nothing like firing cat butts.
Firing cat butts.
Fire in the hole.
Well, we were able to start with the coffee mugs at first, and then we
I was going to get
to
there.
branch into T-shirts, hats, tote bags. There's literally about 300,000 different products that we can put your artwork and designs on. We can do original artwork for you. Literally any kind of merchandising you could think. Like I said, the vinyl decals of the city.
You want your own coffee? We can hook you up. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of our earliest successes with our accounts were actually a marriage between the food blog and the art studio. I got, you know, a lot of the work we've done is for
I had
restaurants like
Buttermilk Sky.
Buttermilk Sky.
I had so little free time that most of my free time was spent with Bobby doing reviews and stuff. So I, make hay while the sun shines. While we're at the restaurant, I talk to the owners.
Yeah. You know what I love about this? Even compared to these two. So the Buttermilk Sky one, you got just a touch
of color
in there, and it's very subdued, but it's noticeable. It pops. So that's very cool. So this is another chalkboard mug. Chalkboard mug. And you guys do merchandising and marketing for Buttermilk Sky, right?
We do. For the Murfreesboro and Franklin.
He can't eat them.
I can't.
But I can. But yes, we branched into the merchandising, doing a lot of the paintings. The paintings I've taken very high definition photos of. We will probably get to the point once we are actually moving Hippie Haven Studios. We are going to sell this house, thus the remodeling stuff, and find something where we have a little bit more studio space, a little bit more storage space. One of the things I'm working currently on is a cookie jar design. If it goes through, we will be needing a place to put 5,000 cookie jars because that's the minimum order.
That's a lot of cookie jars.
Yeah, it's a lot of cookie jars, and we hope to do more stuff like
Sell
that.
them filled.
Yeah.
Sell them filled.
Sell them filled with cookies. I think that was maybe the plan.
Buttermilk Sky will actually be putting the cookies in them.
They have not agreed. They have not agreed to it yet. This is a perspective.
And right across the street, you got Crumble too. If Buttermilk Sky doesn't want to do cookies.
Yeah, well, I've got
saying.
I've got a really sexy. Well, they do cookies. They do cookies
I didn't
already.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's part of what they're kind of pushing, more of a cookie centric message, I think.
I like that cookie centric message.
Cookie centric, yeah. And so it was my idea. I talked to the lady, Chris and Miranda, great people that run the Murfreesboro and Franklin.
Yeah,
Buttermilk Sky, and I kind of come up with, and they thought that might be cool. And their whole theme is to be standing in Grandma's kitchen. So I guess since I'm a grandma, it's my kitchen. And one of the things I loved as a child is my parents started out with a trailer, with a small trailer. They had a piece of family land, and my father literally built an entire house around it because we didn't have any place to go.
Sure.
So one room at a time he built on. So the kitchen was the original trailer kitchen. It was aquamarine appliances.
Yeah.
So I grew up with this great Magic Chef aquamarine gas stove. And so that's basically what my cookie jar is going to be.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that aquamarine stove with a pie on top, or a cookie jar actually in this case on top, that will be the knob. So stay tuned. That's coming. But yeah, so we kind of started going into that, and I realized that I have a lot of friends that are artists, and I have known, like my dad always told me, it's really hard to make a living doing that. And I don't really like to do murals. Alicia Maynard is the best mural person you could possibly, my old fat butt doesn't need to be up on a scaffolding is my theory. But Alicia and I, if you've ever seen the ones in our home, we designed, that was like our brains plug in together. And so I work with her to design them, and she and her husband Travis actually do the painting of them, and do a fantastic job. We're hoping that whoever buys this house will love our murals as much as we do and not make us paint over them.
Sure.
Well, not make us paint over them. But Yeah, so we'll do pillows. I'm going to print pillows with paintings on them. We did a really cool, my first abstract was called Socialites, and it was inspired by being in Miami at Christmas. My niece had a condo. Hi, Allie. My niece had a condo on the ocean, and we all went down there. On Biscayne Bay, and we all went down there, and we went out on the balcony one night. And Biscayne Bay kind of has this illusion because it has a lot of inlets of like the buildings are popping up out of the water. Mm-hmm. And there was this beautiful thing. You imagine everybody had Christmas or Hanukkah decorations. There were Christmas parties, lots of things going on in these windows. And they all reflected on the light, on the water.
Oh, wow.
And it was real dark. I don't even think there was a moon out that night, was there?
Yeah.
And so I did one called Socialites, and that turned out really fantastic. My friend Shanessa now has it hanging in her home over the martini bar, which is
fantastic.
Yeah.
What better place could it be?
What better place could it be? And so things like that I will probably make into pillows and prints, and do just a print. Like, you may love my painting but not want to spend hundreds of dollars on a painting,
or may not have wall space for it, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're in a smaller home or whatever, but you might have a use for a pillow or a cookie jar or a whatever.
A splash. I've got set up to do some fabric design for especially some of the abstracts to be fabrics, which I can't wait to have clothes made out of.
Curtains and I mean, any number of things, right? You can upholster a chair with it.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the secrets to our success, is we've been able to take Sheryl's artwork,
stretch it,
and apply it to so many different marketable things, whether it's thank you cards for a business.
Bobby's logo.
That's right.
The logo for...
And basically your uniform.
Yeah.
and I cannot emphasize enough that the support from local Murfreesboro, the encouragement, the emotional support has been, Angela Merchant, God, I wouldn't have been able to make it through the first art crawl without her. We actually put me in a corner so I wouldn't stress out. But just the emotional support, the financial support that our little studio has gotten from local businesses, and starting to get from a little bit outside our inner circle too, which has been kind of wild. Yeah. Instagram has been a big ticket for that. And even input from other artists who have just said, wow, I love, and when somebody like Alicia or Beth Bordeaux or somebody like that says, wow, this is great, or Susan LeBeau and all kinds of great artists, Gina Foster, and they say, wow, I love it. I mean, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And we're here to help other artists merchandise.
If anybody, any other artists want to do this too, we have already worked out all those channels. Got those accounts set up that we can take whatever you have or help you. Like if you wanted to design a coffee mug, we made some big mistakes on our first coffee mugs.
So you're saying learn from you?
Yeah, and I can give you a little guidance. Like, one of the problems we had with our coffee mugs not looking the way we wanted was the format that I drew them in, because it's all about aspect ratio.
Soap labels we did.
Oh my God,
were a nightmare.
Love you, Nicole. Nicole Ford, Nicole Nerick Ford, owned Radieville Mill. I have known Nicole since she was a teenager, I think.
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago, yeah. And so Nicole, when we went out there, we talked to them about doing a couple projects for them, and the mugs and the T-shirts and whatnot. And she said, well, I'm having this lady make me some goat milk soap. And you got to understand, my business plan completely at that point. Now I take deposits because I'm a smart girl. I take deposits to do the artwork. But if you're only paying for what I produce, a soap label is like $1.
If that.
Right? And so I think she ended up getting maybe a couple hundred labels. But I had never done a label before. And I think I redid that label at least 25 times, because not only it had to be, I didn't realize it's four-sided. It has to be 4 separate pieces of art. They have to all go together, and they all have to be in the dimension to be square, rectangle, and small, and readable at that size.
And depending on what you print them on, they can be
textured. Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
I've seen a lot of them like a small corrugated cardboard, for example, and so that would look weird.
I don't
Yes.
have one handy, or I would show you an example.
And so, and then after you get all that done, and the person you're doing it for has to like it,
Right.
And so then you have to print it so it can be cut to fit the soap. Yeah, we may have printed that one 10 or 15 times before it fit the soap.
That may be the only project that we ever actually took a loss on.
Well, no, because they fed us. They fed us, because I looked at Nicole and I said, man, I love it. I mean, they turned out fantastic, and I tell people all the time, go to Reedyville Mill and tell them you're buying the label and the soaps for free. The label's so damn sexy, you have to have it.
Take the soap out and leave the label on the counter.
Yeah, there you go. And the soap's great. It's a goat milk soap, locally made in Reedyville. But I told her, I said, I am sticking by my deal of what we said in the beginning. I said, I can't charge you for the time I've spent, because this would be the most expensive.
You have to sell the soap for $50 a bar.
And I said, so if you could just give us lunch, we'll call. And they did. They gave us fantastic lunch. Food's always fantastic there. But
the best food in Rutherford and Cannon County.
No doubt.
Hands down, one of my top 3 favorite places.
And consistently.
Consistently. Yeah.
And a great setting. I mean, it's just beautiful. That's where you guys had the chili cook-off and Unchained.
At the mill.
And I had never I've been out there several times, but I'd never spent any time in that field. And that's just such a great field.
It's perfect. You got a little bit of water noise going on, a lot of no other noise going on.
And the mill is a historic treasure.
It's amazing.
And they still grind stuff in there. Like if you get grits, you got some grits.
Yeah.
You got some grits.
This is a mill built in 1812 that they grind their own grains in to use both for distribution and in the restaurant.
Stones the size of this room, some of them.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It's the
place.
Years, and she's been a tremendous source of information and shared everything freely. On when we started talking about making the cookie jars, she'd
already kind of tested.
She already kind of tested the waters and has been a great mentor. Her and Terry Greer both have been a great mentor to us in this process.
Well, let's we're running long, as I usually do.
Sorry.
So no, it's not your fault. It's all me. That my team is always like, Jonathan, for real, you gotta wrap these. I'm like, but I enjoy it. So you know what? We're gonna keep talking.
Well,
but
I did get in trouble for school for talking too.
So did I.
I know.
All the time, up top. That's right.
Did you have to put the chewing gum on your nose? Was that a thing when you were a kid?
No, you can't say that. I had to do that. I did. Hey, you know what I did get? In first grade, my teacher liked this. So I'd put my hand on the desk and the ruler across the knuckles. Yeah. I got that
a lot.
Pretty often, at least weekly.
I grew up in Cheneysville, Pennsylvania. We had a school. Our school was really small, like 89 kids, 6th grade. So we had 2 grades to a room, 1 teacher to 2 grades, and the principal was also the 5th and 6th grade teacher.
Oh, wow.
The school nurse was the school secretary and the lunch. It was everything was multi-purpose.
Multiple hats.
And chewing gum was not allowed. I had a slight infatuation with chewing gum. As a matter of fact, I did one of my llama pictures is 2 llamas blowing bubble gum. And my granddaughter claimed that one. That one's gone. And if you got caught chewing gum, now how in a class of 20 kids you don't think you're going to get caught, I don't know. But if you got caught with chewing gum, of course you had to stand up at the board. And if you were a repeat offender, I made that list. I had it taped to my nose, and I had to wear it throughout the entire school day, taped to my nose.
So public humiliation was a form of punishment.
Yes, it was a form of punishment. I think it was Mrs. Beagle, and it was either 3rd or 4th grade because she taught both. But yeah, it was literally taped to my nose. I had to go to lunch and recess and everything with it. Wasn't smart enough to take it off and get another piece of tape. I left it on there all day.
Can you imagine the headlines now?
Oh yeah, that would be. Yeah, and that was not a one-time affair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so what you're saying is you don't learn lessons real well, or at least you didn't.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was kicked
Still
out.
Still doesn't. I shouldn't have said what Bobby just mouthed. Sorry about that.
Yeah. you know, there was in high school, there's a picture of me somewhere floating around that I decided I wanted to wear a tuxedo to prom.
Okay.
No, not in Everett, Pennsylvania in 1979.
Not so okay, huh?
No, I guess it was, I never thought about this, but someone says, oh my God, you went in drag to the prom. And I'm like, I did. I never really thought about that. But the guy I dated was from Washington, D.C., and he was renting a tuxedo, like a real tuxedo. And I'm like, that's what I want to wear. And that's what we wore. It was actually called the Varsity Drag. It was more of a homecoming. But there were people from my senior class that I appalled people with this. And they were going to throw me out. But it was the style that year to have the lounge pants and a long thing. So I kind of maybe made a scene about that was allowed and my pants weren't.
Yeah.
And I've seen this picture, and she rocks it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I have to post it later date. And then, not learning my lesson, I came to prom in a black dress with a slit up the side, off with a bare shoulder. Oh yeah,
scandalous.
It was a pretty scandalous. Yeah. So I guess I've always kind of run against what was expected of me.
Sure.
And I think I kind of did that with my art too.
It's okay. And now there's a lot more acceptance of that, of course. And,
yeah.
You know, but still, I like that.
Of course, the purple hair. You know, had to wait a long time for that to come in style, so I could rock that.
Well, we're going to post your website in the comments, and can we go ahead and put the link for Hungry Hungry Hippie in there?
Yeah.
Sure, please do.
Okay.
It's the same address as the old website, so there will be no learning curve, nothing new to learn, and it's going to become it's going to go live in a week or so.
Okay, so the link won't work yet.
No,
it will. Well, just go to the old site.
Oh, okay. So it'll just go to the old one, but come back and check out the new one when it rolls out.
The Facebook page I keep active as well as the Instagram.
Cool.
And the studio doesn't have a website yet. We at the beginning it was all one website, and we decided that it was best to split that.
For sure.
And so we put the resources behind the food blog one first, and mine will come later. I do have a very active Instagram and Facebook page, which has a lot of jokes on it too. If you're easily offended, you might
skip that one.
And the best way, talking in terms of people supporting us, the best way to support local business and artists, buy their art.
Yeah, I do a big campaign. I did it last Christmas on Downtown Dwellers. Don't buy people you love cheap crap from China. You know, take a moment and take the same money and get something from an artist that they have put passion and love into.
And the money stays here.
And the money stays here, and it encourages. I can't tell you how much encouragement it gives, especially if someone's just starting out, when someone buys something that they've done.
Yeah.
That is just, because artists are phenomenally horrible at selling their stuff. It's really hard. I'm phenomenally terrible at knowing when my stuff's finished, especially abstracts. You know, I just keep going and keep going. And
you end up with this much paint on it.
Oh my
thickness.
God! Don't even ask. I use really expensive paint. Don't even ask. That rocking chair was $200 worth of paint before it was
Good
done.
heavens!
But I use a lot of color shifting paint, and I grew up next to a junkyard where they did custom paint jobs. So it's kind of like making a drug deal. You go to an auto paint person and you give them a lot of money, and they give you these little bags of crystal, and you walk out feeling kind of a little shamed because you spent that much money. But I mix those with the paint, and it makes it so that when you walk by, the colors. If you see our moon in the living room, it has what's called the Joker flip-flop. If you've ever seen the car, it looks purple, looks green, looks purple. So that's mixed in with the moon, so that kind of shifts a little bit, and it gives some dimension to it. Because I feel that when somebody buys a painting like Shanessa with the social lights, it's one of those things, every time you look at it, you see something different. And so it kind of gives it that extra layer of, oh wow, that just
come and stand here and look at it.
yeah. You know, it's orange over here, but it's purple over there.
Yeah.
So it's just, I like hiding those little Easter eggs in that, and that effects paint makes that possible. So, but just encourage someone, buy their dish towel, buy their, it's and a lot of senior citizens, especially, something I've learned, that's how they're making it through. Social Security is not getting them there, and they are making it through by crocheting dishcloths which crochet dishcloths are wonderful.
They are.
You know,
Please fund our retirement.
but it's not. You know, it's not just. It's all artists. All artists go through this where they have tons of stuff. And one of the saddest things I ever heard was that Vincent van Gogh would run out of money, and he would paint over other canvases that he had started. And the worst part of it was that he would send things to his mother all the time, and that she would often break them up and use them as kindling in her stove.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So
think about all the masterpieces lost.
Just for that reason. So, support local artists. I mean, buy my stuff. I love for you to buy my stuff, but if you don't buy my stuff, find an artist locally that you love.
Yep.
And support them. Support them on Facebook. Support them on Instagram. Show what you bought. I mean, all that makes such a tremendous difference.
Referrals and word of mouth do so much work. And if Sheryl can make really just about anything artistically and make it special, it's not going to be like anything else that you can buy anywhere.
Right. Well, guys, as always, it's always a pleasure to hang out at the Hippie Haven. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the friendship that we've developed, and the work that you guys do in the community, the opportunities, the pitches that you give for everybody else. You guys are extremely giving folks, and I see it, and I love it. I appreciate that.
Well,
so
we appreciate you too for the same reason.
And the coffee was fantastic, by the way. So
put a lot of care in it.
yes, that was delicious.
It was hand ground, French press.
In there.
Oh, man.
Experimenting, trying to get the grind just right.
Well, this one was spectacular. So, hey, check it out. We'll put the information, the links and stuff in the comments here in just a minute. And in the meantime, if you have a need for really anything.
Well, anybody wants something for Christmas, y'all need to hit me up now, because I am at least a month out.
Yeah.
If not more, now.
We'll do custom Christmas cards for you.
Yeah.
We're doing wedding invitations for someone right now.
Cool.
And if I can't do it,
they'll find you someone that can.
I have an amazing network that I freely refer work out
and
to.
that